We can start the recording, guys. Um, so the first thing, how do we get around this wall, right? It's about paying attention to where she really is emotionally. What's the context in which you're approaching her? What's the venue like? There's a lot of things that go into um, determining what kind of wall is going to be put up and how to get it down. And so there's a lot of emotional and energetic reading required to get this wall down and understanding her vocal inflection when she's talking back to you. um, Even just her mannerisms, her body language can tell you some cues as to what's going on. Now, I'm not like a huge body language person. For certain contexts, you have to test it over and over again to get confirmation that what she's cueing or what anybody's cueing is actually true. So, yeah. So, how do we get it down? Let's ask Kristen some of the things that she would like to make herself feel more comfortable, feel like she's less obligated to the man in front of her.
So before I answer, if you guys could just write in the chat if you were on the last call or not. Um,
Yeah, that would be great. Definitely.
it's not that I'm going to give too much repeat information, but I am curious if this is okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. Is it for E? Is it Eric or
Eric,
something
yeah,
like that?
Eric, yeah.
Yeah, Eric. Okay, so Eric was okay. Norm wasn't
Welcome.
okay. Welcome. Oh, another Eric.
Yeah, I know this Eric.
Okay, Rocco was,
Yeah.
and then Shirkanta. I think I got that right. I
Yes,
don't think
thank you.
he was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think he was. Okay, no, yeah. Okay, cool. So it's a little split. And then Pep, if you're there, let me know. Chris, I don't think you were. Um, so not to, repeat too much of what I said last time, but there will be, of course, some overlap. So the number one thing that I always come back to is this guy transactional? Does he want something from me? If the feeling is yes, the wall goes up. I think that is with the majority of women. So if you watch a girl, not that you'll get this opportunity too many times, but if you watch a woman interact with a very, very, very old man, like clearly like uh, staying in a facility because, he can't take care of himself kind of old man, she is sweet and loving and open with him because what he wants from her transactionally is just her to do her job. That's already agreed upon. But you can see the ease in which a woman will communicate with a very, very, very old man when there's nothing on the table in regard to sex. So getting a woman into that state is the most important thing. I believe in all the years like I've been teaching this, that's the most important thing. But I know it's an immediate, okay, well, how do I be sexy and like sexual, but also not be sexy and sexual to be like an old man, to have no sex vibe? And it's not that. There's a different energy between sexual energy and wanting something. So that's a huge delineation that you have to make in your mind and then in your actions. But that has to be very clear. And so um, if there's any unclarity there in what I said, feel free to ask what I mean by that. But the need, again, remember this, the need, the desire to be sexual and to be seen sexual is different than feeling and being a sexual creature. So the need is what will put the wall up. We can feel you're like a man, we get it, but we don't want to feel the need and the desperation and the, please wall. Because also the second part to that, I don't know if it would be second part, but the need, obviously we see behind the neediness. It's that like lower value kind of thing. But you're giving her, when you feel needy, in that sense of you need to get her number, you need to have this conversation, she owes you, not only she in her head, she not only owes you like her phone number, but she also owes you, what she feels is to fill this void or this lack in your life. And so it's like we're supplying for your inability to be fulfilled without her, if that makes sense.
Totally. So I like what you said there. Let's break these two things down. From the place of the neediness, the need, the desperation, the want, all of that. You can see that in many guys if you watch guys approach, like how desperately they want that attention. From your perspective, are you feeling that desperation before he's even there? If not, if he like kind of sneak attacks you, is it in his words? Is it phrases that you're hearing? What is it from your perspective that is giving you these red flags?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million opportunities for us to see it and for him to show it. Obviously, it will begin with the approach if there is a slight, it's not that we need you to be perfect, but if there is a slight second guessing going on in your mind or feeling the need, even if it's just in your mind and no one can hear your mind, energetically, we can feel it. So it can happen in the steps up walking to us, where it gives us a few seconds to process, okay, all right, we know how this is going to go and we know what this guy's going to be like. So it can happen there. It can also happen as you start talking. If it's a calm, casual, cool approach where there's, no desperation, but you're not sure what to say, you can own not knowing what to say, and you don't have to be a master at conversation to be able to pull this off. But when you start speaking, there will be um, a need to please her in your speech. So that will be a dead giveaway. So if it's like you're immediately really interested in what she's saying, like overly interested, disingenuously interested, that shows us a need for you to be approved of, to be liked. So, and I do feel bad for men because it's like, well, where's the balance? Like, I want to be like nice and listen, but I can't go overboard because Kristen was saying then that looks needy. What it comes down to is being genuine. Like, are you actually genuinely interested in what she's saying? That means being very present. So you can start to, in the Ghostbusters, sorry, I have to make a Ghostbuster reference somehow. But do you guys remember at all in with Vigo, the Carpathian, and it's all the pink sludge and it gets stuck on everybody? Once they hose him down and he's gone, the city, it's like the worst the worst sin, what do you call it when you do things for technology for movies? Anyway,
Oh, like visual effects?
yeah, it's like the worst visual effects ever. But you see pink like lifting layer by layer off the city and going up. So I'm using that as a visual because it's like a layering, that all of that sludge that was over the city was bad, negative, dark energy. Not saying that neediness is bad, negative, dark energy, but what's happened is that's like crystallized on you in layers over the years. And so when they get rid of Vigo and the pink starts to lift off, you'll notice it's like in layers. And so it's the same with you guys. If you want to picture releasing the the need to be something, each time you do it, the layers will lift, like that pink sludge will go and dissipate into the sky, and then you're free to be you. So the reason I'm saying that is because there's a authenticity and a genuineness that will pull those layers of need off of you. If you just are genuinely in the present moment, genuinely engaged, you're not actually sure if you want to go out with her yet or not. You're also still in the process of deciding. Just because she's attractive isn't enough to throw you over the top into, yes, I want to go on a date with this girl. You are actually listening and learning, and a woman can sense that. That signals to us a man who values his time, values himself, and someone who would possibly, depending on how the rest goes, worth spending more time with or going out with or giving your phone number to. But that fake insincere, like, what brought you here today? Like, do you really care what brought her there today? Like, do you genuinely, from the bottom of your heart, really, truly care? If you do, awesome, cool, ask it. But go with what you actually care about, what's actually genuine. And so I know that leaves a big space, but I'll stop there for a moment.
No, that's all really good stuff because you're talking about a lot of energetics and emotional components there about the man and who he really is on that approach. And so guys, like when you're approaching, for example, if I find a woman attractive, that's it. I find her attractive. I don't know anything else about her. So I'm not going to invest any emotional uh, part of myself into her until I actually know who she really is. And that's given over time. So, sure, I've identified one thing for us as guys, it's attractiveness. We're visual creatures. We like the looks of women. Women like the emotional components of men. And of course, there's physical too, but mostly for us as guys, it's a physical thing. So, sure, we identify, oh, this is a woman that's attractive to us. The moment that that happens, so many men immediately start emotionally investing, and they've never even said a single word to this woman, emotionally investing into her way too much, which creates the need that Kristen's talking about and causes that wall to go up. So, one of the things that I love to say to women that I find attractive, I will literally say, I find you attractive, but I don't know about you. And I'll point at her heart, meaning I don't know about who she is inside because she could be a beautiful person, but be a fucking bitch that I never want to hang out with. Or she could be a physically beautiful person and physically beautiful inside. And that's somebody that I want to spend time with. So it's for us as guys, and I see men do this all the time. Guys, please regulate your emotional commitment or interest in that woman until you know that she's somebody you actually want to spend time with. And part of what Kristen was saying, that authenticity is your own personal protection of not giving too much because you don't know who she is and slowly building this experience that Kristen's talking about, where the wall, if it does go up, it's going to come down over time. Or if you do it really smooth, that wall's never really going to come up. There might be a little testing when you get further into that conversation, but you have to earn the right to be tested. And it's a good thing when that happens because that means that she's vetting you to potentially be her man. So testing is talked about as something bad, but it's not. It's a very good thing. If you don't get tested, you're either really, really, really good at approaching and conversations and dating, or she's just not that interested. Simple as that. But yeah, like Kristen was saying, that emotional investment into that woman way too soon with the cheesy questions, the disingenuous types of comments, that's when those walls go up and she's like, whoa, what is this? Like, I don't know this person, and they're already pushing themselves, maybe even physically, but emotionally and energetically onto me. And I think somebody just put in the chat here, women are very energetically sensitive. This is 100% true. Women use their energetic and emotional capabilities to keep themselves safe as women. Us as men, we use our physical strength to keep ourselves safe. So pay attention to this kind of stuff. Are you being too over the top with your investment right off the bat into this woman? Or are you being cautious? Think of it as a hunt. If any of you are hunters, right? We don't rush right to the animal we're trying to hunt. We're patient, we're watching, right? Very, very primal things that men have lost the ability to do. Patience, calculation, so to speak, being present with what's going on, not investing too much, waiting for the right time. This is really, really important to remember. So be careful, guys. Don't go too wild right off the bat. And
And
you guys put some cool stuff here in the chat. I wanna have Kristen and I answer this really quick. Um, yes, you're creating an atmosphere of safety first and foremost, Norm. That's absolutely right. Um, Energetically sensitive. I want to talk about abundance. I'm going to write that down, but I want to talk about it later because that's a very good topic to talk about. Norm, yes, this is a much deeper shift for us as men. Women are kind of naturally doing this emotional, energetic type work throughout their whole life. It's just more innate to kind of the feminine experience. But us as men, there's a lot of great thinkers and philosophical type people out there that are men who very deeply understand energetics. And if you can lead knowing and understanding energetics, a woman's going to latch onto that pretty quickly because you're very different when you're a guy that can do that and understand that. Let's see here. Is there pretense involved? It occurs to me that just approaching a woman signals need to get her attention. Yes and no. I like this one. I like
I
this.
do too. I've been like waiting to.
Go for it. Hit it up. Do it.
Well, so there's a reframe that can be easily applied to this thinking. So, yeah, I totally can see it coming across as a need. But what it really is confidence to enjoy connecting with another person, but you don't need it to happen to be okay. You don't need it to go perfect to feel that you can sleep that night. So we all need quote unquote human connection and human interaction, and there's no shame to that. But it's the desperation in which we cling to that need. So it's reframing it more to I am approaching because I like to connect with people. It feels good to me, not because I need to connect with people.
It's like eating more food when you're already full. You're just like, when you do it right, you're just like, I don't need this right now. But
Yeah.
grandma's like, oh, but I baked this for you, and you're just like, no. And it's just this back and forth exchange that eventually you're going to eat that dessert that grandma gave you because you weren't so invested into it, but it was just a volley back and forth of emotional connection, appreciation, and the next thing you know, you're having a good time. So um, totally 100%. It's not about being needy. It's about really taking your time, relaxing, observing, watching, questioning, what is this person really, really about? So
And choosing.
choosing, yes, that's a great
Because if
word.
there's a need, you don't really choose. The need pulls the strings. So you're in control, you pull the strings, you pull your own strings, because you don't need.
Exactly. Totally.
Mhm.
Layered approach. Yes. Everything. Um, for example, you guys that are coming to the workshop on the 28th here in Los Angeles, you'll see the layered approach because I'm going to go through all the layers of the entire dating cycle. Kristen's going to be here with me. It's going to be an awesome workshop. Um, yeah, I have an entire cycle that a guy goes through when it comes to dating. And it's broken down step by step by step. And then, sure, like Norms, you seem like you're interested in the energetics and the emotional intelligence. Is very much what I focus on because it's a game changer for so many men. They stop having to wear the mask and pretend to be something they're not. They can do and be exactly what Kristen's saying, genuine, authentic. He can show up being comfortable in his own skin and whatever his background is and just fully own it. And that comes from a lot of energetic work, emotional intelligence stuff. Sure, there's like different tactics and things that, we cover socially that you can do to stack the odds in your favor. But when it comes to approaching, it comes to this wall that we're talking about, we talk about not wanting. That's a different experience. The wanting is an energetic want. At the end of the day, as human beings, we all want something from each other. That's just life. I actually did a video on why we approach. One of my clients wanted to know why we approach, and there's biological, physiological, and psychological reasons why we actually approach, and it's very, very interesting stuff. But it really comes down to us as human beings wanting something from somebody else. But it's how we express that want that makes things go easy or much more difficult, where we run into the wall, so to speak. Stop freezing inside detachment. Yeah. Desire over want. Yeah, exactly. Desire is a fantastic word. I love that word.
I wish I knew the philosopher that said it. I'm just gonna say it was Socrates just to sound smart. It was one of the guys, one of those, one of those dudes, but who said or I don't know if it was Marcus Aurelius. It was basically all suffering comes from attachment.
Yeah. Oh, that's
All,
the Buddha.
what's that?
Buddha.
Oh, it was
Buddha said
Buddha?
that. Yeah, Buddha said
Well, he's
that.
one of the guys. He's one of the guys. They all hang out in like,
Guys.
I don't know, the circle wherever they are now, chit-chatting about more stuff. But when you release, it's an incredible feeling, and we're human beings, so it's very difficult. But if you can get into a headspace or almost meditate on releasing attachments, it's actually wild, the freeing that you'll experience. And this is obviously very different. But and I'm never going to not lose my attachment to my mother, but I lost my mother. I'm attached to my mother. And of course, love my mother, but I suffer because of my attachment to my mother. If I could release that attachment, meh, grief never happened. I didn't even know the lady, right? But that's not fully possible. So you can find a balance between being fully attached and not being vacant, like, and not being a human being who feels feelings and love, but try to feel the most extreme release of attachment and then bring it down a few notches in your everyday life, because you don't want to be cold and detached, but you will be a lot more free. The minute you decide, you know what? I don't need this car to be okay. Whoa, I don't? Whew. I just like got a load taken off my shoulders. You may want that car, but the attachment to needing that car, yes, exactly like Norm's saying here, to be detached, but not to dissociate. Dissociate becomes very um, emotionally unhealthy. So we don't want to go that extreme. But um, I would recommend as an exercise to visualize losing, like almost with that pink sludge from Ghostbusters lifting off. Picture all of your attachments leaving and lifting. And then what is left? And what's left will be the most honest, easy version of yourself. And then start from there. I don't,
Definitely.
yeah. I just felt like saying Socrates, even though it was wrong.
Yes, the middle road, that's the less suffering road. But the yeah, attachment is suffering for sure.
Right. And so just to respond to Norm, it will be difficult for someone who hasn't done attachment work, of course, but that doesn't mean you can't start being someone who is doing some attachment work and working on that. So there's a there's a way around it being difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, attachment stuff, very easy to work through if you have somebody who knows what you're doing. I work with guys on tons of that stuff. All kinds of attachments, deep releasing, meditative stuff, body awareness, emotional intelligence, embodiment, grounding, all this stuff. Everything that we need as guys, um, you know, come to a workshop. We can hammer on that stuff, no problem. And it goes faster than you think it'll go when you have somebody that can get you through it really quick. And I've been doing this a long time, 16 years. So I definitely can get some fast changes for you guys. I wanted to talk a little bit about, Kristen did a great job sharing what it's like from a woman's perspective of receiving all of that kind of want and that attention that is not done the right way. From the guy's perspective, we need to understand what are our motivators, right? I talked about approaching. It's a very primal, physiological, biological type experience and push inside of us. Ultimately, it comes down to our genes wanting to continue their life cycle into the future. So it comes down to sex and procreation. That's what guys do. So if that is the driver, most of us are not even aware of that. We're not aware that that's the driver. So what happens is we stack all kinds of reasons on top as to what we're actually being driven by. And that could be ego, that could be social status, that could be just want for sex, it could be loneliness, it could be wanting companionship. There's myriads of reasons of why we're actually telling ourselves that we want to make an approach. And what Kristen's alluding to is that stuff unresolved in you is going to show up in that approach. And that's when that wall is going to go up. That's what she's experiencing. All those things that I just talked about, you're pushing all of that onto her. But you don't know that because you haven't been trained and taught how to manage all of that. And that's part of what we're doing in these workshops is getting that stuff taken care of so that you can approach much more effectively. Now, when that wall goes up and you guys run into it, most men either self-reject and run away from that conversation way too soon, or they might try like a couple more things. And if it doesn't really work, they'll just run away. Remember, this is your perception, your guy's perception. It's not the perception of the woman sitting in front of you. Now, I've been out in the field for a very long time watching students do approaches, come back and tell me these were not good approaches. When I sat and watched the entire approach from beginning to end, and what it was a misread of what was going on with the woman in front of them. They perceived it was a wall, but it wasn't. The women had already kind of dropped the wall. They had moved into the testing phase. And this is where guys would self-reject. Now, how do we get around this perceived wall? Well, well, we can say perceived wall from the guy's perspective, or an actual wall where a woman's like, whoa, there's two things. One's projected from yourself, which is actually most of the time not true. And then there's the one that a woman is actually like, whoa, this is too much. So there's two of them, and be aware of that. A lot of times it is not the woman, from what I've seen countless times over and over. It's your own perceived wall that you're placing on her and rejecting, trying different things that are not you, that you may have picked up from some pickup artist online that just doesn't work and it falls flat and you run away. This is not really how you get around that wall. First is you have to be honest with yourself. What do you really want for you as a man? Do you want that one night stand? Do you want friends with benefits? Do you want a girlfriend? Do you want a long-term relationship? Or are you approaching for marriage? Like, that's where it starts. But it also starts with your own personal work on yourself before any women are involved, which was Kristen was alluding to as well. But then we have the next layer is, what do I want? And if you know what you want and you're good with yourself, then that next layer of what do I want dictates how you're going to make that approach. And those types of wants that I just talked about, one night stand, friends with benefits, girlfriend, those are all very different types of approaches. So we run into a woman that has a wall up. We are good with ourselves. We know that we want friends with benefits. All right, let's make the approach. Well, this can be a friendly approach. It doesn't have to be something very direct. It doesn't have to be something very clever, anything like that. It could be a very simple process of just getting to know her. Because if you're looking for, say, friends with benefits, you want this person around for a little while. You want to kind of be friends. Do we vibe? And if so, cool. Now we can move toward the sexual part of the relationship. So, all right, she has the wall up. We know what we want. We make the approach. We know what we're going for. She has the wall up. It's not your perceived wall, it's her wall. She's not liking it. What do you do? Well, at this point, you need to make an assessment of her. Is she shut off, cold, disassociated? Is she saying things that have a sexual undertone, but you're just not catching it? Is she just saying, "Oh, I don't like this," but she's saying it in a way that has a little humor in it? This is where your tonal inflection of what she's saying, some of her body language is coming into play. How much is she engaging with you? Is her blink rate slowing down, or is it really rapid? Is she looking off? Is she turning away from you? There's so many dynamics that go into handling this wall. Once you've figured out, like, oh, maybe it's she seems a little nervous right now. Oh, okay. Let me ground myself more. Let me back up. Just literally 1 inch can make a difference. Back up, give her some space, see if she calms down. Your vocal tone and the way you can speak slowly and more grounded can have a huge effect on bringing this wall down. Because if you're calm, you're cool, you're collected, you know what you want, but she's nervous, well, that's your superpower, guys. You now can start containing her. When I say containing, I'm talking about an energetic container. It's the bubble. Maybe some of you have heard about the bubble, where now she's part of your world and that makes her feel more comfortable. And that slowly brings that wall down. So you're going to have to be looking for clues when you perceive the wall is up. Is it my personal wall that I'm projecting on her? That's the first question you should ask. The second question is, once you say, no, it's not me, I know it's her. Well, okay, what do you do now to get her to calm down? If she's nervous, what can I do to calm her down. And you're going to run into this a lot. Ladies get nervous, especially if they like a guy. You know, a lot of women have a lot of anxiety, right? A lot of men have a lot of anxiety. You bring two people with a lot of nervousness, a lot of anxiety together, guess what you're going to get? A whole bunch more. So you have to be the opposite of kind of what's going on if there's anxiety involved, nervousness, things like that, right? You need to be the grounding, calming, centered kind of force in that experience to bring that wall down. You know, maybe she's very shy, and maybe it's a wall of kind of shyness that she's hiding behind. Well, maybe you just call it out. Like, are you shy? You know, something simple like that. Or, you know, I remember a time when I was shy, right? Sharing something, like trying to find this common ground. That's really what you're looking to do when you bring that wall down, is find this common ground. Where are we similar? Where can we connect and gel together? And it's not you having this experience and me having this experience. And so you become a little detective ultimately of when this woman has this wall up. What are my cues and clues that I need to look at, observe, feel as well? We have visual observables, and then we have feelings and energetics. And the personal growth space has done a terrible job in teaching people that energetics are some of this magical shit. It's not. You've been using energetics your entire life. The person either has a good vibe or they have a bad vibe. End of story. And so that's energetics. And it gets deeper than that. And you can train to get deeper than that. But most people on planet Earth understand good vibe, bad vibe, right?
And not to go deeper with it and to get all esoteric-y and stuff, but this was mind-opening for me when I learned about energetics, but them the energetics actually being felt physically. That's when we say, "Ooh, that person has a good vibe," or "that guy's got a bad vibe," or "this person creeps me out," or we're literally feeling the tangible energy that is coming out of you as a living being at a frequency. Like we are all vibrating at a certain frequency. It's science. It's not spacey, like, ooh, hippy dippy. It's literal. And so when we feel the vibe, we are actually physically feeling it. And then we feel it logically and can speak it. But our body is actually feeling it and processing it.
Yep.
It's a physical presence of energy shooting out at somebody.
Totally. And guys, this is why women, before you even open your mouth, they have already registered you, they've already pegged you in their filtering system as something. And this is why you're kind of doomed from the beginning if you have terrible energy approaching and trying to get this wall down. It's never going to work until that energetics that Kristen's talking about is shifted. And it can easily be shifted. It just takes a little bit of practice and time. One of the cool things in the workshop, you guys that are coming to the workshop on the 28th, you each will have your own model in front of you, and you will be working through this stuff all day long. So you will get a real nervous system hit, real energetics, uh, you know, real emotional intelligence stuff, real conversation with the model working in front of you during the workshop. There's no other better way to experience and shift the nervous system past traumas, concepts, and ideas than working in real time with two coaches that are going to be guiding you the entire day. So
And if
definitely,
you want a real taste of energy and actually seeing this in real time, real like in real time, I would highly suggest, I don't know obviously where everybody lives, but find a stand-up comedy open mic. It is one of the most painful experiences for a comedian and for the people watching and listening. But occasionally it's not. And the reason I say this is because if you go sit at an open mic, you will see how energy affects every single comic's performance when they step on that stage. So if they walk on that stage and you will physically sense and feel this person feels very scared. They feel very nervous. They feel the need. They are clinging to this going right. The audience basically sniffs you out. Like the audience can sniff out the person on the stage like dogs sniffing for drugs. They they don't know they're doing it, but they can sniff out the fear, sniff out the doubt. So when you go to a comedy open mic, some people will bomb so hard and some people will do okay. But you'll notice the through line for the people that do okay doesn't mean their jokes are necessarily better. Most likely what it means is energetically when they walked on that stage, they owned it, they were comfortable, and they made everybody else comfortable. And then you were at ease enough where you could laugh. But so the comics, and this does correlate directly with men approaching women. So the man that approaches the woman the way the comic who's comfortable and at ease walks on stage does well. It's the same thing, the comic that walks up with doubt or starts to question themselves during their set, they will be the guys who fail with the women in the approach. It's the same exact thing. But if you want to see it in real time happening, person every 5 minutes, take a night, go do it. You will know exactly what I'm talking about. And you'll see a lot of yourself in your approaches with, if you've been having a hard time with you'll see yourself in the comics that aren't doing so well on stage. And then the ones who are doing well, you can take from them what they're emulating and try to begin to embody it and just understand how clear as day it is. And that's how women are seeing it when men are approaching. Just like you would be seeing it if a nervous, dweeby 17-year-old is trying out comedy for the first time. You can feel it. You feel all of his nerves. That 17-year-old grows into a 22-year-old who's been doing it for a few years. He walks on stage, cool, calm, collected. He does great. So yeah, that's just a way for you to really see it so you can really understand how clear it is to women.
Guys, I'm going to show you something here when it comes to energetics.
Mhm.
Let's see here. This is exactly what Kristen's talking about. Give me 1 second.
We totally planned this.
No, we totally didn't plan it. I just thought of it. Let's see here. All right. Let's watch a scene from Vicky Cristina Barcelona, guys.
Oh no.
Very good.
Look at that, guys. Look how solidly walks up, doesn't want anything, almost accusing in the way that he's being. That is not what gets a wall up, but actually it does, because you'll see one of the girls put her wall up.
I'm Christina, and this is my friend Vicky.
But that wall is a test wall.
What color are you?
100%.
Nice.
They're blue.
I'd like to invite you both to come with me to Oviedo.
To come where?
To Oviedo. For the weekend. We leave in 1 hour.
What? Where is Oviedo?
A very short flight.
By plane?
Mhm.
What's in Oviedo?
I go to see a sculpture that is very inspiring to me. Very beautiful sculpture. You'll love it.
Oh, right. You're asking us to fly to Oviedo and back.
Wall goes up right there, right? She's not having it, but her other friend is all about it.
No, we'll spend the weekend. I mean, I'll show you around the city and we'll eat well. We'll drink good wine. We'll make love.
Yeah, who exactly is going to make love?
Hopefully the three of us.
Oh my
I'll
God.
get your bill.
Jesus, this guy, he doesn't beat around the bush. Look, senor, maybe in a different life.
Why not? Life is short, life is dull, life is full of pain, and this is a chance for something special.
Right. Well, who exactly are you?
I am Juan Antonio, and you are Vicky, and you are Christina, right? Or is it the other way around?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you know, it could be the other way around because frankly, it doesn't matter because either of us will do to keep the bed warm. You know, I get it.
Well, you're both so lovely and beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, but we do not fly off to make love with whoever invites us to charming little Spanish towns.
Does she always analyze every inspiration until each grain of charm is, ¿cómo se dice? Squeezed out of it?
Mhm.
I guess I have to say that my eyes are green actually.
So beautiful thing happened right there. The one girl's putting up the wall. He's pushing against the wall. She's now challenging him. He's handling all the challenges. Her girlfriend's getting turned on. And you'll see this sometimes when you're out with, when you're approaching multiple women. There's always going to be one that's protective, like the mother. And then there's going to be other women that are just like, yeah, wow. So her friend is actually doing the work for her to get her turned on by opposing his offer. And each time that he handles her objections to his offer, her friend gets turned on more and more and more. And this is a beautiful example of how to handle the wall.
Look, I wouldn't call our reluctance to leap at your sexual offer being over analytical. If you would care to join us for some recognized form of social interaction like a drink, then we'd be fine. But otherwise, I think you should try, you know, offering to some other table.
What offended you about the offer? Surely not that I find you both beautiful and desirable.
Offended me? No, it's very amusing, galling to be honest. But is it my imagination or is it getting a little late? Should we go?
Love to go to Oviedo.
What are you kidding? Can
I
we
think that would
discuss?
be so much fun. I think we should go. I would love to go.
Christina, can we discuss this some other time when?
You know, when I saw you across the room at the art gallery, I noticed you have beautiful lips, very full, very sensual.
Thank you.
Okay. Look, you know, if you want to
Well,
go.
I can't guarantee the love making because I happen to be very moody.
Let's not negotiate like a contract. I came over here with no subterfuge and presented my best offer. Now I hope you will discuss it and give me the pleasure to take you with me to Oviedo. I have the good fortune to borrow my friend's plane. It's just big enough for the three of us, and I'm a very good pilot.
Oh, it sounds very safe.
Think it over.
Boom. That's how it's done. That's just such a fantastic example of handling the wall in a multitude of different ways. And if you guys ever watch that movie, it turns out that he ends up hooking up with both of them, and the girl that is like totally against the whole idea, she's obsessed with him by the end. It's, you know, that's the way it works. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little example. It's
And something that I want to point out, I don't think you did. Something to point out and to notice is that she was getting a little bit unmeasured in her tone, getting a little excited in a not so positive way. His tone stayed the exact same the entire time, but there was nothing boring about it. It was actually more interesting because he stayed so grounded the entire time. His wording or his words were the things that changed to not combat her energy, but to deal with her energy. But he didn't shift his energy to match hers. That would have built, that would have built not great tension, not sexy, good tension. That was built the way he was communicating. That was building tension, but it was sexy tension. So if you're finding yourself getting nervous and speaking faster and all of that, check in and see if you're staying in that grounded place where you're not affected, because he was affected to the extent that he followed up with questions regarding her concerns. So there was the effect on him in that way, but he wasn't affected in the sense of my self-esteem is hurt, my my tail is between my legs, now I'm embarrassed. There's no, nothing like of that nature. So it's very sexy to women.
Definitely. And every single wall that was put up handled it with grace, confidence, solidity, leadership. He just
And
knew-
curiosity.
Yeah, and curiosity too. Absolutely. Yeah.
He was curious, like, what about this
Yep.
makes you not want to go? And I think curiosity is really underrated for communication in not just relationships, like long-term relationships, but in meeting somebody. But it's a genuine curiosity. It's not a fake curiosity of what brought you here. You're not curious about that. In that exchange, he is genuinely curious what made her so aggressive to his response. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curiosity, if you don't have it, is going to be a conversation killer. And in the workshops, I hammer that constantly. Guys think they're being curious enough, but they're not even remotely curious enough. They're not digging, they're not really trying to find out who this person is, because a lot of times guys feel that that's inappropriate, which is absolutely not true. We want to know about the person that's in front of us and what they're all about. So getting extremely curious is key to being a great conversationalist. And you can talk for hours on end.
you can. And as someone who's a very strict banter coach, I usually will say minimal questions, but that doesn't mean minimal curiosity. The reason I say minimal questions is to keep you out of the dry information exchange that turns into the most mundane coworker style conversation of just exchanging bland pleasantries. So when Dave says to be curious and that can make you a great conversationalist, that is true. They have to be good questions and genuine curiosity. And of course, there's the mundane of like, you want to know what this person does and things of that nature. But there's a way to work around just asking those dry questions, which is something that if you work with, if you ever worked with me, we would go in depth on. But you want to ask interesting questions. And I think a really good way, if it's hard for you to ask interesting questions, is to look for the whys to things. So I think that can guide you down a path of curiosity and good question asking to get you rolling. So it's like, rather than what do you like to do for fun? Why do you like to do that for fun? And follow with another why. Obviously, it's more organic, and you're not just like why. You could use that in like a jokey, playful way, which I think I might said to Dave before, and really like own that. But getting underneath everything, that's where the interesting conversation comes up or comes to play. But without the whys, you're not going to really get there, in my opinion.
And you can use the whys to bring down the wall too, because you're getting curious about her, and you'll be able to bring this wall down through curiosity as well. That's another thing, because now that person feels, oh, he wants to know about me. And here's the thing about human psychology: we love to talk about ourselves, and anybody that gets us to talk about ourselves, we think they're the most interesting person in the world, even though they have said very little. And this kind of leads me to something that that Norm said, right? That's how it's done in the movies. Yes, that scene was rehearsed over and over and over again. And there's cinematic beauty, there's beautiful people in it. Of course, it's perfect. That is perfection. So how do we make those movie moments in our own life? And this is how we do it. What Kristen and I have been saying is taking down that wall, just like that was done in the movie. Sure, in the movie, it's perfect because it's a movie. But if we use that as our high mark and we work toward creating those experiences over and over and over again for us, it's an amazing life, right? So many guys say, here's another example when it comes to approaching. So many guys are like, oh, nah, women don't go and approach men and end up having sex with them. Bullshit. It's 100% true, and I've had it happen many times. I literally have never said a single word to this woman, and she approaches me. Again, what is happening? Energetics, right? Now, guys get caught up in that kind of stuff a little bit because they feel like they didn't earn it. Do you have to earn everything? No. You get freebies and you get give me's sometimes, guys. It's totally okay. But yeah, how do we take our dating life and play out almost that perfect movie moment each time we're doing our approaches? And that comes down to your mindset. That comes down to what you think about yourself, what you know you bring to the table, your groundedness, your emotional intelligence, your embodiment, and your energetic awareness. That's how those movie moments are actually created by those actors. They're all very skilled in those areas that I just talked about. And that's why when they're put on camera, they can give us an experience that most people just long for versus actually live. Now, you guys, I just told you the components to making movie like experiences in your life. All it takes now is experience and time in practicing that and getting yourselves in different situations when it comes to handling the wall that allows you to create those moments. And it is very, very, very possible to do it. I have done it many, many times. And when reflecting back with that woman, many of them have said, oh, it was like just like a movie. You walked in, it was like this, it was like that. So we all have ideas of the romance of meeting someone. Women do, men do. Can you deliver that yourself? Well, that comes down to taking care of yourself as a man and getting all of your personal stuff in alignment, taken care of first, so that you can approach the beautiful woman, make it a movie moment, and have a fantastic dating life. Everybody deserves a fantastic dating life. Very few people put the work in to make it an amazing experience. So if you guys want an amazing experience and learn how to do this, I just put the workshop coming up on the 28th in the chat. If you guys decide to join this workshop and you choose the $1,700 option, you get a ticket for the Saturday event on the 27th, and you get a seat at the dinner table for VIPs only Saturday night. That is limited to 10 guys only. Now, the workshop on the 28th, 10 guys only. Half the seats have already been sold. So don't miss out on this one. It's a hell of an opportunity. It's a hell of a value for what you're going to get. Kristen and I are going to be with you all day. So we're starting at 9 a.m. on Sunday. We're going to have the girls here, all the models, from 12, I think it's 12:30 to 6:30. So you're gonna have 6 hours with the models. There's gonna be a woman in front of you guys for 6 hours, and we are going to be working on drills, taking you through all the stumbling blocks that you guys have. We're gonna be looking at what's actually really, really, really working for you already, confirming that is good for you and to keep doing it, because a lot of guys have a lot of bad ideas about themselves that this isn't good or that isn't good. And I'll look at it and it's beautiful. It's perfect. It's masculine. It fits exactly who he is. And I'm never going to take that away from a guy. I'm only going to encourage him to do it more Now, the other thing is where your stumbling blocks are. Kristen and I are going to pick that apart. We're going to be looking at the essence of you as your own man and showing you where things could be built up. And throughout that workshop is going to be working on those things. Now, there's 10 different guys in this workshop. So you might say to yourself, well, what about me? What about my personal case? Everything is tailored to you. Even though there's 10 guys in the workshop, we're going to be teaching 10 different lessons, one catered to every single one of you. That's the way that we coach. That's the way you get the biggest bang for your buck. And that's the way you walk out the door knowing more than you ever did about yourself and your own dating life. So check it out. And the VIP option on Sunday, like I said, gets you into the seminar that we're hosting on Saturday and the VIP dinner with us Saturday night. So you can spend pretty much 48 hours with Kristen and I and ask all the questions that you want and get tons of information and go out and execute it. Yes, there'll be workshops in the future. Absolutely. Definitely. So yeah, guys, that's what we got coming up, the 27th and the 28th. I hope some of you can make it. Now, I do want to say one thing. If you're like, Dave, Kristen, like, I don't know, times have been tough. I have limited funds. I get it, guys. I got something here for you. If you just want to come Saturday, right? You want to hang out. Maybe your budget's under $500. Saturday, you can get a general admission ticket to the seminar, $97. If you want to do the VIP dinner with us Saturday night, $397. And I got that link right here for you guys. I know everybody has a different budget and has a different mindset around investing in themselves. Some people can't see investing a lot of money in themselves because they don't believe that they're worth it just yet, but they will invest a little bit of money to try it out, to see if it works for them. And so that second option that I just put in there is for somebody like that. But for the guy that knows he really, really, really wants it, he knows that Kristen and I deliver. Between Kristen and I, we've got almost 30 plus years of experience when it comes to coaching. Kristen's on one of the oldest dating podcasts in America, running 13 years now, right?
14, I
14,
think.
yeah.
Point.
And has been coaching almost as long, and I've been coaching for 16 years. So there isn't anything that you guys can bring to the table that I or Kristen haven't already resolved for other clients. And if you know you're that guy, then that first link that I put in there, the masculine reset, that's your option. That's what you want to pick. And yeah, so one little bonus here that I wanted to talk about, because we talked about the wall pretty much all day and how we are going to get around that thing and how we keep it from actually coming up. But somebody, I think it was Eric, put in here abundance. And abundance is also a key to keeping that wall from going up. So Kristen, really quick, while I take a drink of water, can you talk about, from a woman's perspective, when she knows a guy has an abundant mentality when it comes to dating, what does that feel like?
Well, I hate to fall back onto that man of value thing. It's very trendy right now. Everybody's saying that, being like a person of value. But the reality is it feels valuable. And in the value, we have a whole spectrum of different feelings. Safety, intrigue, the feeling of possibly knowing that we'll be part of a very interesting, abundant lifestyle. And I'm not just saying money wise. There's a whole like unraveling of what is within abundance and all of the things that come with it, but it basically comes with a rush. That's the feeling. Comes with a rush of, ooh, and like I said, I think on the last one, women love to feel emotions. And one of those emotions is excitement. And so abundance, when we know he's got other options, we can only picture what those other options are. And women will do the same thing that men do. We'll picture the other things that he has going on to be so great and so cool and so much better than me, little old me right now. And so it's, yeah, so I mean, I could go on and on about the whole abundance thing.
No, it's great. It's it's a it's a psychological tool used for both parties. You know, it can be used for building the perception of that person, but also can make us feel like you said, oh, little old me, right? And so there's a psychological game that's being played there. But
Right.
from
And
a
so when you're as a woman made a priority to a man with an abundant life and an abundant world, that feels special.
Mhm.
So that adds to the list of our things that we get to feel. So special. We like to, also feel dramatic and emotional and, negative things as well. But we love those rush of excitement feelings. And I mean, I can just tell you from my own personal experience, which I know 9.5 out of 10 women would agree that the men who have felt abundant, not again, not just financially, but abundant in life, have been the most intense, I think, what I would call falling in love opportunities. And it's not because it's a gold digging situation. It's a movie situation. That feeling of a movie. Like, what are all the things that we're going to do and experience together? That's exciting. And so, yeah, abundance is a big one.
Definitely. I think we should do a whole webinar on abundance.
Yeah, and it's like, again, it's like one of those things where I feel kind of cliche talking about it, but it's kind of stereotypical for a reason, because it actually really matters and works and makes a huge difference. And yes, women, so Eric just asked you, women struggle with abundance in dating.
100%.
Yeah, 100 billion%. Um, and it's not to necessarily any fault of her own, just like it may not be to any fault of your own. But there is, just like you guys may feel like they're slim pickings sometimes, that's how women can feel like they're slim pickings, because so many men, like Dave said, they don't know how to date. Like, they don't know how things actually work in real life from the movies. And so women are endlessly bored, really. And so there may be a bunch of guys in line wanting to go out on a date with her. And so that may be an opposite issue that you guys have, but she's not finding any of them different or interesting enough. And so, like, in my coaching, I focus on being as much of a unique individual as possible, not to a fake extent, but bringing out who you really authentically are, because you are not like any other human being. But the current dating climate has turned everybody essentially into a clone of one another. And I always talk about it like an assembly line. It's like, you guys could do the same thing. You could put a woman on the conveyor belt, she comes down, you guys just exchange some very generic messages. Okay, blah. Next, the next woman comes down, and it's the same with women. We'll feel like it's just the same man coming over and over down this conveyor belt. And so yeah, that can be very troubling for women, but also it makes them human as well, because no, they're not just like, oh, I'll date this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy. It's just, but also they might not be a catch and then struggle in dating because it is a fault of their own. But
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, abundance is a mindset, guys. It's not anything else. It's a mindset. And it starts with you realizing how abundant you actually already are. A long time ago, many years ago, I did a talk on money and abundance, and guys still reference it today. I'd love to share with you. I have no idea where it is actually, but it is a mindset, right? I came from a lower middle class family financially. I have built a very abundant life for myself through a shitload of hard work, a lot of risk, and a lot of belief in myself, first and foremost, that I can do it. And that's no different than when it comes to dating, right? If you have an abundant mindset, there's countless women out there for you to date. There's so many women to date that you can't physically possibly ever date them all. That's the mindset of an abundant man. It's like, oh my God, there's so much opportunity that I don't even know what to do with it. Now, if I went out and approached 100 women today, there's 100 women that are approachable, but I might only find 2 to 5 that really gel with me. Just like Kristen was saying, conveyor belt, oh, this one's interesting, this one's not. So there is abundance out there, guys. You have to believe that, and that starts with yourself when it comes to abundance and believing uh, deeply about abundance. Doesn't matter if it's money, experience in life, dating women, whatever. It comes down to your belief system first and foremost. So, yeah, you're welcome, Eric. You're welcome. Absolutely. And thanks, Rocco. Yeah, definitely. I put a lot of work in to have a lot of an abundant life. I actually had a client. He said to me, Dave, I have never seen anybody work as hard as you to not have to work. That is the secret
Yeah,
of success.
yeah.
Uh,
But what's so empowering in that is that it's a choice. So life, it's the kind of cliche of like life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you if you choose to see it that way. So Dave chose to see it that way. He made it happen for him and wasn't the sitting back and taking whatever came to him his as his fate. So there's so much more control that you have over life. And when you realize that and then grab onto it, it opens almost like Dave was saying, like this abundance, like over, like you won't be able to do everything you want to do because you're like, oh my God, I can literally do everything.
yeah. Yeah.
Shit, where do I start? And then you just don't start because you're like that
Yeah.
paralysis by analysis. But it's really a wild experience when you do realize how much power you do actually have over your own life experience. We think we don't, but we really do.
We are in control of all of it. You know, there's other, there's people that will argue that we're not in control of certain things. At the end of the day, if you're a very self-responsible person, it's your fault at the end of the day.
Yeah,
And that's, I've been challenged on that in a lot of different things, but yeah.
there
But
are certainly like starting points that are easier for some than others, but it doesn't mean that your extra work can't catch you up to where that person is. Not that it's a competition, but it just means you'll have to work a little harder, but you can get there. It doesn't mean it's not available for you.
absolutely. And you guys that are coming to the workshop on the 28th, we're going to prove that to you for sure, because this is what we do. So we've been doing it a long time. I'm super passionate about helping guys have a great dating life, have a great career, make a lot of money. Like those are my things. That's my jam. It's what I love talking about, teaching guys, helping guys out. And there's nothing more gratifying in the world as a coach when a guy says, hey, I went and I employed everything that I learned from you and I hooked up with this girl and now we're dating, or we're going to have a long-term relationship. And of course, my favorite has been my clients that have actually gotten married. So pretty awesome. And unfortunately, divorce happens, guys. And if any of you guys are divorced, I've worked with plenty of divorced men as well, getting them back in the game, getting them moving in the right direction. so that they can have a fruitful dating life. So hope to see you guys on the 28th or the 27th, what other option you choose. Kristen and I are going to be here. It's going to be a fantastic time. And the other cool thing is men have been looking for a community to hang out in for a long, long time. It's growing more important to men now than ever before because of, we're all living behind a screen. We're all antisocial, a lot of people. So getting involved in a workshop plugs you into a community of many men that have come before you who you can hang out with and talk about the same things. And it's really, really nice, especially when I go to Europe and run workshops. I have a whole community over there. The guys love coming and hanging out. And even if they don't participate in workshops, they're still hanging out in town when I'm there and hanging out, supporting each other. We go to dinners, we do all kinds of stuff. So it's not like you're just coming in here and getting a workshop and then leaving and you're never hearing from us. You're getting plugged into a community of people that are here to support you, both Kristen and I, and then all of our previous clients who are involved in this world, in this coaching as well, are here to support you and make new friends with people. So thanks a million, guys. It's awesome for you being here. I had fun doing this webinar.
And Norm, I'm so glad that you mentioned the authenticity because that's what I value most in life. And so I'm glad that it's shining through both myself and Dave. And Dave and I wouldn't have connected if there wasn't authenticity.
Yeah,
you know? And
exactly.
so I think that's the only reason we're here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So lovely having you here, but so glad that that resonated with you.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I wanted to say as well about coming into the workshop is that, like Dave said, it's not just coming and getting skills and going, but it's also the therapy of being around people with like-minded either values or like-minded roadblocks. Anything in that like-mindedness is, I think, a super valuable therapeutic experience. You realize, oh my God, I'm not alone. I'm not insane. I have support. Everyone here is human, just like me. It's a good load off for
I'm really glad you said that because so many men isolate that.
yeah.
I'm the only one with this problem. There's no other men. And I can't tell you how many times I've literally sat down, starting a workshop, we're on the whiteboard. I said, hey guys, tell me what's going on. And 4 out of the 10 guys have the exact same problem. They're like, holy shit, other guys have this problem? Like, yes, you do. It feels like an isolated experience, guys, but I promise you it's not. There's so many men out there with the exact same issues across the board. And come hang out with people that are actually like you and learn from each other. It's good times. All right,
It'll be
guys,
fun. It will be fun.
definitely. Thanks for
And I
being
don't
here.
use that word lightly. I always say that whenever I say fun, like I'm genuinely serious. Because I'm the type who's like, how are all these people just having fun? Are they like mentally ill? Like what, so when I say fun, I really genuinely mean it. It will be fun, but also, of course, very, very, very growth oriented and beneficial.
Love it. Yeah, you're welcome, Pep. You're welcome, Shrikanta, definitely. Big Al, you're welcome. You guys have a great Sunday.
It was great hanging with you guys. And remember, you can always go back and rewatch this for these nuggets and for all the info and really get it into that, permeate that skull, get it in there, get it through that head.
Definitely. Yeah, recording will be coming out soon, guys.